Hey guys, I'll be posting short movie reviews every few weeks, I don't know, maybe every month, and I'll speak about movies I've seen recently at the cinema. Because it's just the first video, I'm going to review quite a few movies, but in time there'll probably be only 5 or 6. Alright, I watched Brightburn by David Jarowski. It's a slightly different perspective on superhero movies. It tells the story of a married couple with fertility problems who one night discover that a small spaceship has landed on their farm. This kid Brandon soon discovers he's got superpowers such as the ability to fly and laser vision, so he uses them to terrorize the town of Brightburn. The biggest mistake of the film is his extreme over-exposition. From the beginning, the movie submits us to an excess of information that makes any sensation of suspense or surprise to be virtually impossible. The dialogues are unnatural and seem to be written exclusively to present the main plot points. The second half of the film only focuses on some of our anti-heroes' violent crimes and their predictable conclusion. Despite being a multi-millionaire production, it can't help but look like a B-movie due to its cartoonish visual style and some scenes, such as the last ones, that reveal a rather unpolished art direction. In addition, the numerous moments of cheesy sentimentality and nuances of horror intensify the feeling of standing before a minor work. I'll give this one a 4 out of 10. Lots of Chaos by Jonas Åkerlund. This is a recreation about the origin of black metal band Mayhem that combines real events with fiction and focuses on the conflictive relationship between guitar player Euronymous and musician Buck Vikernes. Jonas Åkerlund, who already had a prolific career as a music video director, turned out to be the right one to carry out this stylish semi-biographic movie. The rhythm of the film is violent and restless, and it combines seriousness with a humor that's darker than the main character's clothes, and disturbing images with bitterly fun dialogues. It's an amalgam that could only be described as an acquired taste, and oh boy have I acquired it. The story is interesting even if you don't know anything about the context it portrays, but it's much better appreciated when you know the situations and small details which the movie refers to so often. The evil facade of black metal music and its culture is constantly ironized as a love-hate letter to the genre and its history. It's obvious the movie is aimed for fans of this music style, especially the ones that lived through its golden, dark age, should I say. The best part of the film is its attention to detail, especially on the most violent moments, but the work itself is hindered by rigid acting and some moments of forced dramatism. This one gets a 7 out of 10. Midsommar by Ari Aster. This is the second movie by Aster, who caused a great impression with his great Hereditary in 2018. On this occasion he takes us to the plains of Sweden, where a horrifying pagan festival is carried out. Unlike his first film, the director chooses to develop horror on the daylight. The idyllic landscape is turned gradually into an unimaginable nightmare that deserves a place among the most disturbing movies ever made. The cinematography by Paweł Pogorzelski is usually composed of symmetric, very colorful shots. Oh, how the color red is highlighted! And mixes the landscape's natural beauty with the paleness of death. As the film goes on, generally by static photography or patient travelings, the experience is transformed into a creepy psychedelic journey, where the images have their own strength even when they lack any explanation. Ari Aster yet again shows great mastery of his cinematic language and takes a place as one of the most important voices in modern horror. This one gets an 8 out of 10. High Life by Claire Denis. It tells a story about a group of inmates are sent to die on a different solar system in order to explore the properties of a black hole. At the same time, they seek to study the effects of birth in space, and Monty, this is Robert Pattinson, is forced to live for several years alone with his daughter. The production design of the film makes the environment feel like an actual prison. The spaces are all dark and narrow, and they always create a sensation of oppression and claustrophobia. At times it reminds me of Solaris by Tarkovsky, and there are some hints to 2001: A Space Odyssey. In this sense the film is very effective, even though the budget limitations are evident through some of the sequences, especially the ones that look outside of the ship. High Life moves with a very slow pace, and takes its time to explore the relationship between the characters in a social experiment kind of fashion. Had the movie followed this premise way closer and not let itself be consumed by superfluous flashbacks and dialogues, the movie would have been more intense. At the end it's just a black void, intentional I assume, and the film ends up saying not much. This one gets a 6 out of 10. Aladdin by Guy Ritchie. We can say the same actually for each one of these live-action Disney remakes. Boring, tasteless and unnecessary. Aladdin is no exception, and it's really one of the worst. The special effects, which are usually some of the redeeming qualities of these productions, look pretty cheap, maybe because they're excessive and the cinematography is truly flawed. On the other hand, its characters, that were rather charming on the original animated version, are reduced to simple actors. Now that's the thing with these versions. All the personality of the animated characters is inevitably lost. The most affected were, this time, main villain Jafar and especially the genie. now performed by an unbearable Will Smith, who looks terrible on that blue collar. Not even the music can save this complete mess of a film. The songs have got a terrible production and such a poor, basic and modern instrumentation that it really does not suit the atmosphere of the movie. I give this one a 2 out of 10. El Ángel by Luis Ortega. This is a glimpse to the life of Carlos, a 17-year-old boy who became quite a case in the 70s due to his crimes and angel-like face. Luis Ortega directs the misadventures of this young hooligan in a humorous, laid-back way. It satirizes the fascination of the media with criminals and the decadence of Argentinian society in that point of history. The best thing is Lorenzo Ferro's acting and the story of its character. It's true that the film doesn't offer any answer to the behaviors it shows, but it's evident we should take all of this with a touch of irony. This one gets a 7 out of 10. La Camarista, or The Chambermaid by Lila Aviles. This is a melancholic piece that sensibly portrays the dull days of a chambermaid, an employee in a luxurious hotel near the metropolitan area of Mexico City. The film is led almost dialogue-free in a naturalistic style, in which less is always more. It's all about an intimate connection with the main character, and that's because the film is conferred with a marvelous subtlety, especially in the last couple of minutes, that way beyond its message about social classes. We can know all of her thoughts through small actions that end up gaining an enormous meaning. This is pure cinema. 8 out of 10. Ma by Tate Taylor. Just another generic Blumhouse production. This time Octavia Spencer is a middle-aged woman who, due to her traumatic teenage experiences, develops an unhealthy obsession for being popular among a group of high school kids. Ma is a repetitive, cheap, unoriginal movie. It hasn't even got the decency of being creative in the main antagonist's backstory, not even in the rest of the characters' deaths. And the worst thing is that it takes up to an hour to reach its inevitable climax. The rest is not but chit-chat between teenagers in the same 2 or 3 sets. Anyway, a film lacking personality and a reason to exist, actually. 3 out of 10. Chicuarotes by Gael Garcia Bernal. A fun film about 2 teenagers that try to survive poverty and escape their difficult lifestyles. Despite its pleasant narrative pace, Chicuarotes can't help but feel like a forced and worn-out comment on Mexico City's social reality. If we take out this pretense, the film is entertaining to the very least. Actor Benny Emanuel really steals the spotlight and is, definitely, the best performance in this film, perhaps the only good one. The rest are but cartoon characters, a feature that may be attributed to a lazy script. 6 out of 10. Cómprame un Revolver by Julio Hernández Cordón. This movie shows a Mexico in which everything, absolutely everything, is controlled by drug lords. Through the eyes of a small child, we see the problems that arise after an incident on her father's farm, an addict who's got connections with criminal leaders. The most interesting part of the movie is its apparent lack of time context. The tale could be told in any date, but it's especially relevant for modern society. In a country where dozens of women are murdered every day, it's quite shocking to see a small girl to fight with her own hands, and in the way she understands it, the dark situation of the country. It's a simple, frankly small film, but that doesn't mean it hasn't got some beautiful images, such as the scene in which the main character runs through a field filled with paper corpses. I give this one a 7 out of 10. Finally, I would like to talk about Joker by Todd Phillips. While I did enjoy the movie as a whole, I mean it's got some really strong atmospheric music, and the color palette really helps the tone of the film, and Joaquin Phoenix really does a great nuanced job as the main character. I couldn't stop thinking it was a bit too on the face. The movie tries to explore the origins of violence, and shows us this by having a character that's been rejected by society and whose mental condition can't be helped, and thus sort of justifies his acts of violence. Or maybe it doesn't, but what I'm trying to say is that the character study is lazy and superficial. Like how many times before we've seen the same story of, oh, people haven't been nice to me, so I'm not going to be nice either. I don't think it's profound or complex in any way, and the storytelling devices are sometimes very lame. For example, there's a scene in which they decide to recur to flashbacks to explain something, spoiler-free, about the relationship of the main character with a young woman. I kind of found it offensive that the filmmakers thought we were so stupid as that we needed to see it one more time. And again, the events on the film are sometimes repetitive and manipulative. Like, did we really have to see the character beaten up twice to feel sorry about him? And did all of those scenes involving Bruce Wayne have to be in the film? There's at least half an hour of the movie that could easily have been taken out, but I can't complain much. I wouldn't say this is a bad movie at all. It is really entertaining, and it's great to see a comic-based film that doesn't rely on explosions all the time. Not a masterpiece, not even a very good movie. It's just slightly above the norm blockbuster quality standards. Well, that's it for today. I'm probably gonna post more reviews in a few weeks. By the way, if you have any recommendation of movies that are currently playing in theaters, please leave it on the comments and I'll be sure to check it out. Thanks, see you!